everybody. Welcome to the Comic Book Cover, episode 9. This is our Spider-Man episode.
Spider-Man.
Everybody's friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Everyone's friendly neighborhood, actually, no longer neighborhood, though.
No, he's kind of like global.
He's on a global scale
I
now.
wonder if they're going to change that to everybody's favorite global Spider-Man.
They should.
They should.
I mean, he's everywhere now. Shanghai,
He's all
San
over the place.
Francisco, New York,
He's got even a Spider-Mobile now.
which is pretty cool.
I'm digging the new
I'm
comic.
digging that.
It didn't come out this week, it came out last week, but there's plenty of other Spider-Man things that we'll talk about. Plus the fucking
Looking forward to getting to that.
But I guess news-wise, the only thing I can really think that was like caught my attention that was big recently was that Jeff Johns is coming back to Aquaman.
Yes.
That's
and
pretty cool.
that is going to be awesome. I'm going to jump back on it at that point because I never really read any Aquaman. I never really gave the character a chance
No,
until Jeff Johns wrote it with the start of the New 52.
I did during Brightest Day because when he got brought back as Blackest Night and he first started using his power, he could only control dead sea life. I was like, well, that was interesting. And then they really dove into Black Manta. And I don't care what you say, Bill. Black Manta's cool.
Black Manta is cool.
He is cool.
Black Manta's cool. I mean, DC has a lot of cool
A
villains.
lot of cool villains. Bill.
Not just Batmans.
Not just Batmans. Everybody always, and I love Batman. I like the cliched guys, but I like the cliched guys because they're the OGs.
Yeah.
And without Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, the rest of them wouldn't exist.
Especially without Superman.
Yeah, he was the first. We might do an episode. Well, we definitely have to do a Superman episode. You would think I would have made that the first episode, me being such a big Superman.
You would think.
But
I mean,
no.
you're even. You're definitely more of a Superman fan than myself. I love Superman. This guy here, though,
No, I'm the Superman guy.
like Jimmy Olsen.
I've even been watching the serials lately. Whole nother thing. Feature comic, I want to throw out a disclaimer because the title might throw people off. It is a biblical thing. It's described as a biblical noir.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say the name, don't take it as blasphemy. I figured we ought to throw out the disclaimer because I hesitated at first. It's like, the title could throw some people off.
It felt kind of silly not saying it. It's a comic book title.
Yeah.
I mean, some people are easily offended. We hope that we don't offend you, but take in mind that we're not trying to be blasphemous or anything like that. It's just a comic book.
Technically, this comic is about
Technically,
You're
it
Damned
is.
by God. The comic book is Damned.
Yeah.
By Jason Aaron. Jason can't do no wrong. And R.M. Guerrera.
Yeah. Same team that was on Scout.
Yeah, and I just read the first 2 volumes. And I just got the 3rd volume in yesterday. And wow, what a series. And knowing that these 2 guys are the ones working on it makes it even more interesting. It's really what had to be the feature comic.
Absolutely.
As good as Scout is, knowing the same guys are working on this,
I'd say
it's a big deal.
anytime there's a new comic, a #1 with Jason Aaron's name on it, more than likely it's going to be the future comic.
Yeah, I mean, we're not biased at all. And even though we
No,
are
not
biased,
at all.
it's perfectly okay to be biased in this situation. It's described as a brutal biblical noir. It's got a special oversized edition. Let's see. It's got 30 pages of story, too. It's nice. And the earth was filled with violence, Genesis 6:11. It's 1655 after Eden, or 1,655 years after Eden. And life on earth has already gone to hell. The world of man is a place of wanton cruelty and wickedness. Prehistoric monsters and Stone Age marauders roam the land. Murder and destruction are the rule of the day. Humankind is a failed experiment. This is life before the flood, the story of man on the verge of his first apocalypse. Welcome to the world of the goddamn.
Old Testament.
Man, it sold me.
Yeah.
I mean, I already knew I was going to like it, but when I read this, I was just like, oh, this has got to be the feature comic.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you're into that sort of thing, whether it's religious or you like stuff based off of religion, this is going to be a really interesting comic.
Yeah, no matter what you believe, I mean, it's interesting. It's good storytelling.
You should check out the goddamn Drummer. Put out by Image, Jason Aaron, R.M. Guerrera. Can't go wrong with that because it's Jason can't do no wrong Aaron.
Yeah.
Right?
And if you don't believe us, pick this title up. Give it a chance.
Exactly.
See what you think. And go check out more Jason Aaron comics.
More Jason Aaron comics. Well, I guess we might as well get into the big dog, because the big dog's probably got the most stuff to talk about this week. Hold that. First, and I mean, I might buy this just off the cover. Alex Ross, Mark Waid, and Adam Cooper.
I had to hang the poster up. It's Alex Ross.
Man, Alex Ross is awesome. You know, at first when I saw the preview for Free Comic Book Day, was not impressed. And I like Mark Waid.
Yeah.
But it seemed at the time like it was going to be none of the original Avengers.
Yeah.
Which I do believe Iron Man and the Vision. So we have two.
You have two of the original Avengers.
And the Vision's not really an original, but he's close enough.
I mean, it's not Peter Parker, Spider-Man, Miles Morales. I mean, I guess technically, you know, Spider-Man, he was an Avenger.
Yeah, he's been an Avenger.
And I'm starting to get into, I mean, technically, you still kind of have the same Avengers, but different people as those characters.
Falcon's been an Avenger plenty of times, too.
Yeah, he's been an Avenger. Now he's an Avenger as, you know, Falcon, Cap, and you have Thor, but it's Jane Foster Thor. I mean, you kind of still have the characters, but not necessarily the same characters.
I'm checking out #1 just to see how it goes.
I'm probably most of the Marvel stuff coming out right now. #1s, I'm gonna grab them just to give them a read and see what I think, and then kind of pick and choose.
Speaking of #1s, I mean, recently had a #1 with this one. All new Hawkeye, maybe a little less glare there. Jeff Lemire
and
Perez. Ramon?
Yeah. My thing is, okay, this is going to be, and this, I didn't realize this at first until I was looking at the cover, but you're going to have the old man Clint, the old man Hawkeye.
I noticed that in the cover.
In this book. So that's pretty cool for all you fans out there of Old Man Logan.
I really liked Old Man Hawkeye in that story.
Yeah.
He was really cool.
Me too.
And, you know, Jeff Lemire's doing Old Man Logan, so why not have Old Man Hawkeye? I know you'll want to talk about this one.
Tom Taylor. Big fan, huge fan of Tom Taylor. And that all started with Injustice. And from there to Earth 2, when he took off on that.
I loved his Earth 2, man. And his Injustice was really good.
Yeah. So he's an awesome writer. I'm really looking forward to see what he does with Wolverine here. He's one of those writers. I don't think he's really had his chance or opportunity to shine. Like I think he will.
He will soon.
He will.
'Cause he's going to be on Batman and Superman. And
to me, he's almost like Jason Aaron, except for he hasn't been around long enough to be recognized like Jason Aaron.
We need to give Tom Taylor a name too.
We will.
We just haven't come up with it yet. But
We'll
coin it.
We'll coin it. We'll have to make sure to coin it.
Yeah, we'll have to trademark it, right?
Yeah.
Trademark it for the, you know. I'm not gonna go there. Captain America White.
On issue 4.
It's on issue 4. It's almost done. There's one issue left.
Okay, yeah, 5 issues, 5-issue miniseries.
Man, Chewbacca. Have you been reading Chewbacca?
I haven't been reading Chewbacca. Kind of disappointed myself. I've been on Star Wars from the get-go, getting all the tie-ins. Lando was awesome. Princess Leia. All the tie-ins have been really good. So I might have to go back and pick those up.
There's a few I didn't get to read. I didn't get to read Lando.
Yeah, Phil Nato on the artwork.
Yeah, I mean, he's really good at art. Speaking of Star Wars, this is another one of the really good titles.
And I'm sure at this point, this is going to start going into the whole Darth Vader Down event that's coming up. I think that starts with Darth Vader number, is it 14?
14.
Okay, so this is issue 12 coming out, so I'm sure this is kind of showing us, what's going to be happening to lead to that story.
It's a jumping on point.
It's a good jumping on point.
Jump on.
We got the cards here to tell you all the issues necessary to get to have that story and to read that story, and you might want to jump on a little bit before, because I'm sure 12 and 13 are going to be kind of showing you what happened to get to that point.
Illuminati #1. I'm not as familiar with this. I just started reading the.
Wait, I'm familiar with the name of it.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the name. The team, no. But I just started reading the Tom Runs Out stuff. I got through volume 2. Wow, that's some really intense stuff.
The previews that Marvel released for this week gives you a little inside look on some of the comics coming out and that are going to come out, and Illuminati was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
It looks pretty interesting.
Yeah,
Luke Cage was in an Iron Fist.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's a Luke Cage and Iron Fist comic they're going to do. They're going to put the two of them together.
That's awesome.
I'm definitely picking that up. Well, this is the title of all titles with Marvel right now. Number
Big
7. We have 2 more issues.
It's coming to
It's coming to a close now.
coming to a close.
So how you feeling about it so far?
I'm loving it.
I haven't
This
read a
has
bad issue
really
yet.
pulled me back into Marvel. Not that I wasn't reading some Marvel titles before this, but you know, this really has pulled me back into
Secret Wars really
into
opened up
Marvel.
that door for people that wanted to jump on it.
Marvel's pretty smart with how they set all this up with their big event, and then they're okay. Reboot. Let's just call it what it is. It's a reboot.
Wordy dirt.
Marvel can't even bring themselves to call it a reboot, but it's a reboot.
The all new 52. I mean, different.
All new, all different.
52.
50. Oh, yeah. I think that's what it's called.
You know what's funny though? I mean, I really enjoyed the story, and I enjoyed Convergence. I have my one complaint with Convergence, and it's all about Brainiac crying. That's it. But a lot of people kept saying, we know who a lot of people are, but certain people were just like, oh, I don't feel like there's anything at stake with Convergence because they can always bring somebody back. Well, here's the interesting thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Doctor Strange die just a few issues back?
He did.
Yeah, he's
At the
on
hands of
issue
Victor Von Doom.
issue 2.
You guys are caught up.
Yeah, if not, you just got a huge spoiler. But really, that was like issue 3 or 4. So.
That was early.
Yeah,
that was early.
that was a while back. You should have been reading a little bit more. We're not telling you what happened in number 6 anyway. But the point is, Doctor Strange died.
Yeah.
Now he's back. Cyclops died. We're not
Jean
sure where
Grey.
he's at. Yeah, I mean, a lot of characters have taken it.
It happens. It happens in comic books, guys.
And they come back.
It's
here's the thing.
fictional.
This is a fictional world. We don't want to play that as reality. If your favorite character dies, he should come back as that character, not play somebody else as that character.
Yeah.
Just saying, shot the cat. Still like the comic though. You should read the comic, despite what I say about how Falcon
It's
should be a
good.
cat. Well, you're the one to talk about this.
Yeah, I'll
Latour is the writer.
Yep. Jason Latour. This is definitely a book to jump on. I read issue number 1. Really enjoyed it. Actually, I liked it more than what I thought I would. Rodriguez, his art style, I really like what he does with the colors and everything. Which actually, that might be Renzi and not Rodriguez. But regardless, his art is really cool. And Jason Latour, man, he's really making a name for himself. And it all kind of started with Spider-Gwen.
Yeah.
Well, no, you
course
can't
he's-
really. Southern Bastards, I guess, but.
Art-wise, writing-wise, though, I mean,
I always like to think that him and Jason Aaron kind of collaborate on Southern Bastards, though.
yeah, actually, we'll get to that in a minute. But number 5, he actually writes it for us.
See, there you go. And that happens with what is it? No, it's Lazarus. Same
Yeah.
thing's been done with that.
Michael Lark.
Yeah, Michael Lark's had his opportunity to write an issue for that series.
I mean, you got to give Latour something because Spider-Gwen's a pretty big character right now, and to be an artist and getting handed the reins to do the writing.
She's a very popular character, and one cool thing about this book is, like with issue number 1 at least, it gives you the rundown of everything that has come to that point, everything that's happened. So you're not going to jump on it and be like, I'm completely confused and lost. It's definitely a good book to jump on.
They'll fill you in too. Speaking of, we're talking Spider-Man. It is our Spider-Man episode.
It's another good
Peter
Spider
David.
title.
I wish I jumped in on this one.
Have you read the first one?
I haven't. Do we still have the first one?
No, but I can get it.
Man, I might like to check it out. I'm a big Peter David fan. I loved his whole stuff. And Future Imperfect was great.
Love Future Imperfect. this is going to be a great comic. I can tell you, the way it ends, number 1, I'm picking up number 2 today.
You got me. Squadron Sinister number 4.
That's been a great,
This is the last one, isn't it?
great book. That's the last one. It's essentially like a evil version of the Justice League, almost like the Crime Syndicate, but not quite. But kind of similar.
I haven't heard a bad thing about him. Everybody really enjoyed that comic.
Yeah, I mean they're all backstabbing one another, but it's really interesting.
I've heard it compared to Superior Foes of Spider-Man, which was I heard a lot of good stuff about that.
It was good. I read the first story arc of it.
Back to Jason Can't Do No Wrong Aaron. I'm personally really
Another
excited
Jason
about
Aaron
this.
book.
There's a lot of Jason Aaron this book.
Yeah,
Conclusion to the Battle World Thors, and then next month we get the Mighty Thor, right?
Next month we do get the Mighty Thor. It's going to be awesome.
Okay. This one's just going to be interesting to find out who was the one that was going around killing all the different Jane Fosters. And, then you have Leaf, the Ultimate Thor, and Odin's son, head to head.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're working together, but there's definitely some...
Wasn't it him that was behind all that, though?
What,
or was he just trying to keep it covered up?
He was trying to keep it covered.
That's what it was.
Web Warriors number 1. Another Spider-Man thing. I think I had the solicit down. A little off guard on this one because I haven't been reading. The cool thing about it is it's going to be like all of your favorite Spider-Man characters from the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, from different Spider-Verses.
And let me just point this out. Right there, Peter Porker Spider-Man.
It's pretty cool.
Just saying. And we have Gwen Stacy.
Spider-Gwen.
And
you got Noir.
She
Spider-Man.
was Spider-Woman in the 80s, but now she's a Arachne. Spider-Noir, and I think Punk Rock Spider-Man's in this too.
Yeah, and all this stuff's just spinning out of Spider-Verse, so if you read that, you might want to jump on Web Warriors. Mike Costa, he wrote some of the tie-ins that went along with Spider-Verse.
I really like Mike Costa. He's one of those guys that could come in and take Spider-Man and roll. Him and who's the other guy? Mike Costa and Dan Slott, and there's another guy that writes them, and I cannot think of his name.
He just did... You're not talking about Jerry Conway, are you?
Oh, no, man. Jerry Conway is...
He just did something, the Point issues here recently.
I loved his.
I think I know who you're talking about, but the name's just not coming.
And we have it, and I didn't mention it, but, Jerry Conway, I should have mentioned it, because Jerry Conway is doing Carnage #1.
Yeah.
So...
And actually, I've never been a huge Carnage fan, other than well, no, I take that back. I was back in the day. I love Carnage and Venom. I mean, they were like the two major villains for Spider-Man at the time in the 90s.
But Jerry Conway doing it makes it a little more. But there's so many things coming out. I can't get them out. My wallet would beat me in the face. It's
Get
already
that 25% off of these.
Yeah, we definitely. That's why I can pick
Helps
up
you out a little bit.
I pick up a lot of comics as it is, and the only reason I can is because of that 25% off. So just saying, if you read a lot of comics, this might be the place. But you can get them here and somewhere else, and we're cool with that. I guess next we're going to talk about some independents.
All right. I'm going to grab those. I'm going to start off with Descender.
Descender.
This is a great book. It's this jumping on point, new story arc with this issue. It's a very heartfelt story. It's something I would definitely highly recommend picking up. Jeff Lemire is on it, and Dustin Nguyen. Quite the team up on that book. All right.
Back to our favorite guy.
What we got here? I don't know if we can really say Jason Aaron because
it's Jason Latour.
This is Jason Latour's issue.
He's writing and drawing, but it's still Jason Can't Do No Wrong Aaron's book.
It is his book.
This particular issue
is
Jason Latour.
I'm really looking forward to this.
Me too. There wasn't much of a solicit. It just said.
Because I really like Spider-Gwen. I think Jason Latour is a really good writer.
There wasn't much of a solicit for this either, so I guess you'll really have to fill us in.
Walking Dead. There we are, right there.
It was basically just like what hits the fan in this issue.
Yeah, this is 148, and I don't know if you've read your previews yet, but for January, issue 150 is coming out, and that's a big anniversary issue. It's going to be like a triple-sized issue for $2.99. But basically, Rick and the group, or groups actually at this point, has come across another group like no other that they've come across, a group called the Whisperers that wear walker skins. They walk amongst the walkers. And the leader of this group, her name is Alpha.
And that's Alpha on the cover, right?
This is Alpha on the cover, and it kind of has me curious, her crying there, because she doesn't really show much emotion. She hasn't shown much emotion. She showed a little bit when she let her daughter go with Rick and Carl, but I think she did that because, I don't want to give too much away, but let's just say her daughter was being treated very, very nicely
They seem
with
very
this group.
animalistic from what I heard.
They're very animalistic, and this is something that no one can say, oh, we've seen a villain like this before, the Governor Negan. No, this is something different. Alpha has shown her power to Rick a couple issues ago. So
I remember you telling me that.
Rick, another interesting thing, it's not just this group, but Rick's demeanor at this point. He's really calmed down. He doesn't really have that savage. He's not that savage Rick that that you've seen on the show and that you've seen in the past. Like, after All Out War,
He chilled out.
He's chilled out. He's kind of becoming old man Rick. But now his group is urging him to do something about this other group, and he really doesn't want to go to war with them. But his group's starting to turn against him.
It sounds like it's probably the best to not go to war. Real quick note, you don't have it, but I'm pretty sure you've still been reading, right? Birthright?
Yeah, I've still been reading that.
It says it's a new story arc, Birthright number 11.
Number 11 is a new story arc, yeah. And, that's another Joshua Williamson title. I recommend jumping on that. If you're into, like, fantasy, action, adventure, that sort of thing, that's something to jump on. Actually, if you're like me, you got into, like, the Goonies and stuff like that as a kid, it's kind of like that. But,
yeah. I read number 1 and I really loved it.
It's a great book, and there's this mystery that still surrounds it. I mean, we're going on to issue 11, and there's still so many questions, and I like that about a book because it keeps you interested.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, keeps you invested. IDW?
Okay, what we have from IDW is Back to the Future number 2. I highly recommend this book. As a huge Back to the Future fan, the greatest trilogy of all time. I know people argue with me there, but I don't care. Back to the Future is the greatest
More
trilogy.
than Star Wars?
Oh.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
an argument.
How about number 2?
Okay.
We'll say Star Wars
I'll
and then
agree.
Back to the Future.
Star Wars and then Back to the Future. There's no arguments there.
What's really cool about this book, though, is you're not just reading a retelling of what you've seen in the movies. It actually is filling in the gaps, stuff that you didn't see. Like you see the first time Doc and Marty meet each other and how that came about.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and then you see some, like, issue number 1 was split off into 4 different stories, and one of them was, the first time Doc and Marty met, and another one, like, or 2 or 3 of them was just kind of focused on Doc, and just it's kind of interesting seeing his life before he met Marty. He was a recluse, and he was known as, like, the crazy guy in town.
My honorable mention from IDW, which we don't have that in. People can always come and ask us to get it. We should.
And we can get it.
G.I. Joe Real American Hero number 219. Larry Hama has been doing this since the Marvel days, and when IDW picked it up, he took over and picked up the story from where the Marvel series left off. At this point, we're running into this big story where Cobra's taking over. Hawk's leading a strike team to try and get to the bottom of this organization's latest plot. But the deeper G.I. Joe digs, the more chilling Cobra's master plan becomes. From what I've read coming up, like Cobra's, it's going to be kind of like the second movie, but of course it'll be cooler because it's the comic book that Cobra's going to take over.
That sounds pretty cool.
Snake Eyes has been killed. I think Cobra Commander's been killed too.
What?
Yeah, I haven't kept up with it for a while. I was reading it when they first started doing it, and I love the comic, but money was the reason I dropped it. And there's always, I'm tempted to jump back in it because it's a jumping on point. And I love Larry Hama's stuff. He's also doing the Call of Duty comic.
Yeah.
He did the Wonder Woman conversions, which is really good. Larry Hama's, He's a legend. Larry the Legend Hama.
I don't think he gets enough credit.
No, absolutely not. And his G.I. Joe stuff is awesome. So if you're a G.I. Joe fan, and especially if you're just a fan of the G.I. Joe Marvel stuff, you should be reading. They're also doing Transformers More Than Meets the Eye, which is the same thing, picked up from the Marvel run.
Yeah.
So,
Batman coming up.
number 46. And what's interesting about this issue is that Gordon's having to go to Bruce Wayne for help.
Yeah, with Mr. Bloom.
Yeah, which makes sense, but not, because Bruce has no idea. I mean, he's not really the Bruce Wayne we know. He's
No.
kinda like,
He has no idea, but every once in a while you can tell something's turning there. Like
he's
he's.
slowly but surely putting together. Like in the Batman and Robin Eternal, when all the people attacked him, and Dick Grayson came in, and you can tell he was starting to put some things together there. This is, to me, like, I really enjoy the Gordon part of it. It's not my favorite DC story right now, just because of the frequency of trying to get Bruce out of the Batman costume, which is overdone at this point. But the fact that Scott Snyder's writing it makes it good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an excellent writer. I love his stuff. And it's definitely pulling me in. There's a lot of interesting stuff. Like right now, and it's what Massey's doing in Detective, having Gordon working with the Justice League. That's been interesting.
That was really cool. That was a good issue.
I mean, I can't say anything negative. And I'm not even saying this just because I think Batman's just been overdone lately. Because I love Batman. He's like, my top two guys. He's one of them.
I'd say the three top titles though, and the ones that kind of intervene with each other quite a bit, or not intervene, intertwine with each other, are Batman, Batman Eternal, and Grayson.
Top titles?
Top titles, but not just top titles. They intertwine with one another.
Oh yeah.
Like you could, it's that they just mix with each other really well. You kind of, it's like they all play, into each other really well.
It's been a lot of excellent stuff, and Grayson could even be thrown in that too. I'm probably more into the Truth story right now, but this is probably selling. I know this is selling better because it's got Batman. Speaking of Batman and Robin Eternal, there's nothing wrong with Batman. Batman's awesome. That's why he's so overdone. It's because he's awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome. Superman's awesome too, though. So
just not as well recognized as these things. I think Superman's taken for granted, but I could go into the whole thing with that. Batman and Robin Eternal. This is going to be a cool issue because it's all like a flashback thing.
Yeah.
We're going to see like the original case with Batman and Robin and Mother, and maybe we'll get some clues into why in the first issue. Spoiler alert, if you didn't read the first issue, turn it off now, but you see Batman holding a smoking gun.
Definitely turn it. Too late now, but yeah, that was a crazy issue. The ending
Very
to
crazy.
that was insane.
We're on number 6, so if you're missing, this is number 1.
You can still get caught up though, guys.
Yeah, Crystal picked up some. She's caught up now.
Yeah.
Last issue was really good. Dick Grayson shows up Tim Drake's parents, and then the interesting thing about it is just how Tim Drake.
See, you're giving a spoiler to me right now. I haven't read the last issue.
Never mind.
No, I mean that's fine. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it when I go home.
Tim's unhappy with the fact that Grayson's acting like Bruce. That was interesting.
Well, what's going on with Tim? I mean, did you notice that thing? I mean, he was getting on his little intercom saying, "Yes, mother."
You can't blame Grayson for going and talking to his parents. Then like, what's up?
No,
Is
Grayson.
he adopted? Like, what? He's not an orphan. Why is he being controlled by mother? It's an interesting question.
He needs to look into it, but
Tim gets a little snippy with him because he's like, now you're acting like Bruce. Which, come on, man.
maybe he should have confronted Tim first though about it.
Yeah, but I mean,
that's not what Batman would do. So,
yeah, see, Grayson has to do what Bruce would do. And he's been in those shoes before. And since Bruce isn't really Bruce,
he's
who's the guy that has to take over the family? It's Dick.
Yeah,
So Dick has to do things the way Bruce would do. Because
that's true.
questioning Bruce's decisions or not, I mean, it's always worked out because he's Bruce Wayne. He's Batman. It's like James Bond. So as many things as I might say against Batman, it's just because of the hype. And
Oh
the
no,
fact that
I get it.
Superman's
I
just-
get it.
Superman's just not appreciated. Speaking of Batman and Superman, Batgirl's teaming up with Superman.
That was a great last issue.
Yeah, and they're gonna go against Vandal Savage.
Yeah, because at the end of last issue, they were tracking him down, and now what? It's not just Batgirl. Now he's teamed up with Red Hood, Dick Grayson.
Yeah, I mean, come on. And even if you're just a Batman fan, like Superman's a loser, which is totally not true. But if that's the way you think, that's fine.
Anytime,
Still read it.
Even if you're not a big fan of the Man of Steel, it's still been really cool. It's always cool when he teams up with the Bat Family, any of them.
I could just do a whole video on misconceptions about the character of Superman.
There's a lot of misconceptions.
I would think a lot of people.
He's an alien, can't relate to him. He has all these superpowers. It's like
He's actually, in my opinion, more relatable than Batman. Batman's a billionaire and doesn't
he's
really have.
more human and more. He's more human than he is anything else, and we're especially seeing that now.
Yeah, and I mean, I like the fact he's a character that feels out of place in the world and trying to. Just doesn't feel like he fits. And I don't know, that whole alienation thing is. There's a lot to the character of Superman that people don't see because you just think of him as being the guy that flies and has hobbies. And there's more to him than that.
A lot more, yeah.
Another one, this is probably, if I was to pick my favorite story DC's doing, the one I think they're just knocking it out of the park with, it's the Dark Side War story with Justice League. We got 2 issues, the Green Lantern issue.
I concur with that. That is the top
and the Shazam issue.
Story going on over at DC.
My opinion, it's actually like Dark Side War with Justice League, Truth with the Superman titles, then Wonder Woman, then Batman. But then Wonder Woman and Batman could actually be more tied.
Maybe. I'd put Batman before Wonder Woman, I think.
It's
or tied.
They're pretty
Let's
close.
just say tied.
I mean, either way, you wouldn't be wrong to say, oh, Batman's just that much ahead of Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman's just that much ahead of Batman. The Wonder Woman story, and Wonder Woman needs a little bit more credit. She hasn't had. There's been some great writers, but she hasn't had the most prestige.
Since the start of New 52, it's been awesome.
Solid.
I mean, solid as a rock.
The last one we're going to talk about, and I'm really stoked about this, Superman American Alien #1, written by Michael Landis.
And see, that's a perfect book for anyone that feels
Matt
like
Landis.
Superman's not a relatable character.
Yeah.
You get to see him struggle in his youth with the same kind of struggles that we all struggle with as a teenager.
Max is
Slightly different for him, but, still the same struggles. Trying to fit in.
Max is actually the son of Michael Landis, the American Werewolf in London,
Yeah.
the Thriller video, a lot of that stuff. And he does a really funny video for wrestling fans. Garrett over at the other storyteller. Yeah, the competition.
Yeah.
I cannot think of the name of it.
You're not talking about that claymation.
No, it's this thing where he just talks about wrestling and
Oh, okay.
goes on about John Cena being like the Superman, because every time you see John Cena, you know he's going to win because he's like the Superman.
Yeah.
And Hulk Hogan was that way in the 80s. But it's really funny. Max Landis has a really good sense of humor. I'm anxious to see what he's going to do with Superman, because during that wrestling thing, he talks about how, wrestling was really killed by oversaturation, and he talked about the Superman, the death of Superman story, and how it hurt comic books because of the oversaturation.
Yeah.
So, there you go. Max Landis is going to have a really interesting take on Superman, and he's got a really quirky sense of humor, so I'm curious as to how he's doing. And like you said, I think it'll help make Superman more of a relatable character.
Yeah.
You've got to come at it from different angles. A lot of writers have, but everybody's just like, oh, Superman.
Yeah.
He's the first guy, so now it's just like he's taken for granted. Batman will be next. I swear, in another 10 years, people will be like, oh, Batman. And they'll be like, come on, people.
Hopefully not.
Maybe they'll move to like the Spectre.
Batman,
Spectre's
Superman,
amazing.
Wonder Woman, the Trinity deserves their respect.
Most definitely. Without that Trinity, what would we have now?
We wouldn't have Marvel.
Yeah, we wouldn't have
I
Marvel.
mean, we might, but it wouldn't be the same
It
Marvel
wouldn't be
unit.
the same. No, not at all. I think it's
This
time
week
we're
we're
talking
talking
about Silver Age Spider-Man, and we happen to have Silver Age comics here in the store at Book and Music Exchange. So if you come in, you're like, I'd like to check out the Silver Age stuff. We keep it in the back because, we don't want it exposed to a lot of the light.
To the light, we want them to hold up their condition.
I almost thought about putting like a red velvet thing over it so we could unveil it, but
They're nice comics.
you can see.
Let's get that up close there.
Yeah, get a little less glare on it. That's the difficult part. This is some prime stuff.
We got Stan Lee and Ramita.
Yeah, these are Stanley and man, that's terrible glare. I'm waiting till I get to the one that I particularly love the cover of. Man, this is a cool one.
You might have to just come to the store and actually take a look at them, but they're worth at least coming in and looking at. Let's see, if we tilt it like that, there we go. Check that out. Good stuff, guys.
Look at that. Some of the lizard. I'm still looking for the this is the one you saw this one, right?
Oh yeah.
Kingpin.
Amazing Spider-Man number 51.
I mean, there's a good run here.
We have a really good run.
49, 58, 61. There's 61. 67. Yeah, there's a huge on the Trial of the Chameleon. I've read a lot of these Marvel tales. Oh, I remember this one. Remember this one, folks? That was a big deal back then.
Yeah.
I used to read a lot of the Marvel tales where they reprint these stories. So it's kind of cool to actually get to see the actual issues. And of course, we got to go through
and price them and everything, and that was
super fun.
That was really fun. Actually, that's been the highlight of working here for me.
Most definitely. I mean, there's some Thors, like old.
We have some
Thor.
old Jack Kirby Thor. We have a ton of good stuff. I mean, a ton of Silver Age. It's mainly all Marvel, which is cool. That's cool to me. Eventually, we'll get some DC, but call the store. Come in.
Set an appointment.
Yeah, set an appointment. Come and look at them.
There,
even if you're like, I don't really have the money right now, go through them, look at them. I mean, there's pleasure in just doing that with these books. You don't see these anywhere. You don't see these a whole lot at all anymore.
Normally, we try to talk about a particular issue, but instead this time I was like, let's just grab a bunch of Spider-Man.
Yeah, we just had to grab a stack of Spider-Man just to show you guys we got them here, so come check them out.
This isn't even all of them either.
No, we've got, like 2 short boxes?
Well, we've got a short box of straight Silver Age, and then there's a bunch of other stuff that's being collected throughout the warehouse. There's a lot of Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man's the kind we have the most of. So, for those of you who are Spider-Man fans,
Spider-Man Central right here.
This is Spider-Man Central. And that's why this episode was dedicated to Spider-Man. Everybody's friendly neighborhood, or global, Spider-Man. And there you go. That's it for this week. Next week, we'll be talking about comics. Lots of comics.
Tune in.
Catch you guys later.
Later.